All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to season 5 of Mind Over Music. I'm your host, Sean Ali Mosey, and it's happy to be with everyone this evening. You're listening to Radio Zad, where your voice matters. Tonight, we have two very special guests, fun guests, that are going to be doing an incredible show at the Eisman Center here in Richardson. The Eisman Center has been open for the last 20 years, bringing arts, culture, and community together in such a great, beautiful, and dynamic way. We're going to start off with Miss Amira Sackett, who is coming in from Chicago. She is a local legend in popping and hip hop dancing, and is here to kind of rock everyone's socks and bring a lot of awareness to the Muslim community through a lot of activism and art. And I can't wait to get into the conversation with you, Amira. Thank you so much for joining our show tonight. Yes, and so I wanted to start off quickly about, what your I guess what your journeys look like. You came out initially with this act that really put a spotlight around Islamophobia, and the show was called "We're Muslim, Don't Panic," and you had some incredible success with that. Talk to us about that and about kind of your journey around the art there.
Sure. So I started We're Muslim Don't Panic back in 2011.
Wow.
And it was, I was a hip hop artist. I'm concerned with getting my skills better,
Right.
like choreographing things. But I also cared about our community.
Yeah.
And I thought, how can I use my art to raise our voices,
Yeah.
in particular, the Muslim community at the time, and to kind of educate people of other faiths about Islam and about Muslims. And because I was seeing an increase in hate speech and, incidents that were happening in schools and things like that. And here we are today, still happening.
Yeah.
But I designed it to use my art in a way to kind of educate and bring communities together and build bridges.
Yeah, and it's such a beautiful thing. I think when people see your art and they see, you are you're an expert in hip hop, right? And you got a background almost like classically trained in hip hop, if there's such a thing, right? And to see someone, with this level of love and expression and wanting to bring community together, and then also wearing the hijab, I feel like it's almost a little bit of a shock factor. I'm sure you've been getting this for many years. Talk us through the common questions that you get, how you're able to bridge these bonds so effectively.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is, when we look at culture, when we look at arts, I was born in Chicago.
Yeah.
So hip hop I grew up with it.
Yeah.
It is something that is part of my culture,
Right.
right? And so the dance is like an extension of that. I'm also a practicing Muslim, and that is part of who I am.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not really that weird. It's just who I am, right?
Yeah.
All those parts just come together.
Yeah.
But I think using your art, to make change in the community, that's where I started to focus later as I got older.
Yeah.
I want to make, a change.
Yeah.
And I think hip hop in itself is something that has always been about the community,
Yeah.
has also been about social change,
Right.
from its birthplace in the Bronx,
Yeah.
New York,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So when we're looking at that history, it's just an extension of that, right? Using your art to bring attention to problems, and also a way for us to express ourselves and show creativity,
Yeah.
right? So I think that, inspiring other girls to pursue a creative, artistic expression
Wow.
is
Yeah.
also part of what I wanted to do, whether it be anything,
Yeah.
writing, poetry,
Yeah.
right? So
This is beautiful. I want to take it two different directions. First, we'll talk about how incredible the hip hop community is, right? When you think about the crux of it, at the very outset, from the beginning, it was an inclusive culture. And, as you mentioned, it started off in New York, in the Bronx, and, kind of expanded east and west and went global. And now you see people around the world bringing their culture, their food, their clothes, but still celebrating within this other microculture of hip hop, right? Or this macro culture of hip hop, and then you have your own specific macro cultures or microcultures, depending on where you are in the world. It's so interesting, and I think one of the principles that are similar in both Islam and in hip hop is this idea of inclusivity, of pluralism, of tolerance. How do you express that in your art?
It is amazing that you say that because I actually, when I lecture, I talk about that.
Yeah.
I talk about the way that there's this feeling when we're in prayer together at the mosque, especially in the US, where you're praying next to people from all different countries,
Yeah.
backgrounds, right? And we're in this line together and we're one in that
Yes.
moment.
Yes.
In hip hop, when we dance in a circle, in a cipher. You're next to people from all different backgrounds, from all different places
Right.
who, are part of this culture.
Yeah.
And so for me, those two things just like are the two things that I love. I love that about Islam. I love that about being a Muslim in America is that we get to like meet so many people from around the world
Yeah.
through our faith. That's
Yeah.
such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And then in hip hop, I have so many friends that globally that like I've connected to through the art form
Yeah.
and including Muslim hip hop artists from around the world.
Amazing.
So it's just such a beautiful, and there is a connection there for me.
Yeah. And so, you think about hip hop as a culture, you think about Islam as a way of life, and then you think about all the little girls and the women that you're inspiring through this art form. This is the less beaten path for so many, and you have to kind of trailblaze it. And I know that many of our heroes often don't want to be seen as heroes. I think you kind of fit that category as well for the
Yeah.
little time that we've spent together. But I'm very confident that everyone that sees these performances sees you as their hero. Especially these younger women that haven't been able to express themselves artistically throughout their lives, that really see themselves within this microcosm and want to be able to explore more of the art form. How has that journey been for you? And what are the, give me, maybe if you think of a story, give me like a story
Sure.
that kind of has inspired you.
Yeah. So when I was doing Or Muslim Don't Panic, we were at a middle school
Yeah.
performing, and this little girl, we stepped on stage, and this little girl in the audience screamed out, "You are beautiful."
Oh my
And I
gosh.
was like, "Oh my God, this is so cute."
Yeah.
Afterwards, she came up, she wrapped her arms around me, and she goes, "Are you from Saudi Arabia?" And I was like, "No." And she goes, "I'm from Saudi
Oh
Arabia."
my gosh.
And so this little girl just like saw herself in me, right, at
Yeah.
that moment.
Yeah.
And her screaming, "You are beautiful," in this middle school full of kids who were,
Wow.
you know,
Yeah.
it was very like touching.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still could tear up about that
Mhm.
because that's kind of that representation. So even maybe she's not going to decide to be a hip hop dancer, but seeing someone come to your school that is deemed cool, who
Mhm.
is,
Yeah.
a Muslim who wears hijab, who looks like you, and she's doing something that's powerful.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's even more impactful than speaking about it.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
like seeing someone take power.
Yes.
And I think seeing that you can also enjoy the arts within like the limits of Islam, right? So I also hosted an all women's hip hop class for years in Chicago where we had a private room,
Yeah.
no video, no windows, blocked off windows. So women that wanted to dance and have a good exercise class, but wanted that modesty,
Yes.
then they could come into class and have that experience.
That's so
So it's just
amazing.
about like being in your community, seeing what people want, what they
Yeah.
need, and
Yeah.
sort
Yeah,
of.
it's
Yeah.
there's a balance between navigating to that endpoint where it makes you feel inclusive, it makes you feel like you have that community you're able to also express, but at the end of the day you're commanding the stage, right? And whether that is in the form of dance, a speech, art, painting, whatever it might be. It's not just, the things that we traditionally see. I think it's so important for us to, use you, Amir, as an example, and think about how we can best express our innermost cultural self in a way to connect everyone to who we are as humans. And I think that is something that you've trailblazed so beautifully.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
amazing,
hope so.
amazing.
I hope.
For tickets, everybody, please come to this show. It's going to be on Saturday at 8 p.m. at the Eisman Center in Richardson. You can get tickets simply by going to the eismancenter.com and join us. Join the whole Radio Zod family is going to be there supporting you guys, and we can't thank you enough. Special shout out to Phil Nelson, who's the community outreach. Yeah, Phil is awesome. He's just filled with heart. And one of the things that he talked to us about right before we went live, is the idea of what the Eisman Center is trying to do. And there's such a rich tapestry of culture in Richardson, and just to be able to recognize that, there are voices out there that need to be heard. There are cultures out there that want, some level of recognition, sometimes spotlight, but can contribute to the conversation. And it's a beautiful mosaic at the end of the day. And so, and I think that you had some good thoughts about that as well, right, Amir?
Yeah, I think the great thing that Phil is doing at the Eisman Center is connecting artists with the community.
Yes.
So that's why we're here tonight. So
Wow.
it's kind of like we're coming from Chicago. We don't know your community, right? So Phil is that person who's the liaison between this arts institution, but also connecting people so that more people also get to enjoy all the programming of the Eisman.
Yeah.
So I hope if you haven't been there before, you come.
I love it. I love it. Well, I can't thank you enough. Amir Saket from Chicago. Thank you so much for joining our show tonight. We're going to do a part 2 with Ahmed Zagboni, and he's going to be doing the pop part of the locking, right? So Amir is going to be doing more of the dance performance in the background. There's going to be a live beatbox, which is going to be Mr. Mike himself from Tunisia, and with Zagboni, he's going to be coming in part 2. So stay tuned. We're going to be right back after these quick commercial messages with Mr. Ahmed himself, and stay tuned for more of Mind